Hello, this is Tamera Weeks with Tam's Daily Vlog, and I am at Micah's day program. ILC is, what does that stand for?
Integrated Life Choices.
Integrated Life Choices, and we are having an individual, I forgot, they changed the name. It used to be IPP, and now it's ISP, so it's Individual Support Plan?
Yep.
Individual Support Plan. Okay, I'll get this right in a second. Anyway, we're having a meeting. We have one every 6 months. This is the 6-month meeting. Then we come back in October and we have an annual meeting. So I will tell you all the things that we talked about in our meeting with Miss Micah, and I'll show you Miss Micah and Miss Bridget. We got a short video together. All right, Miss Micah saying hello, and she has to see her Miss Bridget.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
I have just walked in the door from Micah's program at ILC, and I have a page full of notes. So I wanted to tell you what we talked about in our meeting and kind of how these meetings go. They just shortened. They used to call the meetings IPP. Now they're called ISP. And we've gone from like 20 pages down to 6 pages. So it's just a really brief overview. I'm the one that does most of the talking. I had Regina take down some notes a few weeks ago. We were supposed to meet a few weeks ago, and I had to cancel because of my head. And so I took my notes, but most of the stuff that I talked about, or that we had written down, we already talked about in the meeting. So I just had a bunch of questions. So I'll look at the back if I can read this with all these bright lights I'm under. So the very first thing we started out at the meeting were, what are Micah's celebrations? What can we celebrate in the last 6 months with Micah? And Anne, she is one of the managers that's over not just this facility. There are different facilities. I'm not sure exactly what she moved up into, but anyway, she's like a big manager. So she pops up and she says, met Bridget, and we all laughed because Micah didn't even want to come in this meeting. And I almost said, oh, Micah, Bridget's going to be there, but I wasn't positive she was going to be in there. And then that would have brought her right in. But she did come into the meeting, and then she just laughed through the entire meeting because Bridget was sitting next to her. Okay, so we talked about, Micah has a lot of real specific things in her program of what she's to do at different times of the day or what kinds of things happen on a day-to-day basis. One of them is taking Micah to the bathroom. So the girls start at the house. They come at 7 a.m. Micah gets on the bus or gets on the van that comes to pick her up between 8:15 and 8:30 in the morning. So the girls take her, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in the morning, but the last time she goes is at 8 o'clock. So we had in Micah's program at ILC that Micah would go to the bathroom about 9 o'clock after she gets there. But they're finding that Micah is never wet when they take her. So they are now skipping the 9:30, and they're taking her between 10:30 and 11. It depends on when Micah comes back from a work project that she's gone out to do in the morning. So they're taking her about 10:30 or 11. She's staying dry almost all the time, so she's doing a super job with that. So they've just eliminated one bathroom time, and so they're taking her right before lunch, and then they're taking her again at 2:15, 2:30, and then Micah is arriving here around 3:15, 3:30. The girls take her to the bathroom as soon as she gets in the house. So we're doing really good with the bathroom stuff. The walker. Micah has a really big walker. It's only in one video that I did several months ago. It's too big at the house. It doesn't work outside. There's too much uneven concrete in the sidewalk on the driveway. We're kind of on an incline, just a little bit of a hill. And if you hear jingling, that is the cats. Lance and Tarzan are just going bonkers. They're just chasing each other around the room. And let's see. So, Bridget noted that Micah is choosing less outings these days. One of the reasons I picked this program is that Micah could go out in the morning, she could go out in the afternoon, and she could be out in the community. I think being out in the community, being around as many regular people as possible, having a different environment, learning different skills at different places, I think that's really beneficial for Micah. And of course, anybody that can be in their program, I think that's just beneficial for all of them. So when Micah first started coming to the program, she was picking. They write some places on the board that they can go to in the morning, and the clients get to pick where they want to go in the morning. Then they make another list at lunch, and they get to pick where they're going to go in the afternoon. and they can choose to stay at the program or they can choose to go out. Now Micah is choosing to stay at the program more often than going out. And Bridget has decided it's because Micah has figured out if she stays at the program, she'll get to see Bridget just a little bit longer. So this morning, they didn't go where they normally go. There's a farm of some sort where the clients can go out to. They go every Friday, or it's once a month. They go once a month on a Friday. Micah doesn't like it because it's too noisy. So Micah stays in on this particular Friday morning, and this afternoon they've adopted the park here in Papillion. So the program is about 15 minutes from here, but it's in Omaha. And we live in Papillion, so the park is right down the street. I have that in a video too that I did a while back. So Micah will be coming to the park, but she was going to the park down. So Bridget kept talking to her about it, and finally Micah decided that she would go to the park this afternoon. Micah loves going to the park. So they have these things called ST, and I forgot, I didn't write down what it means, but it's objectives. It's ST01, that's where she started. And then now she has met 4 out of 4 objectives. It's appropriate interactions with others at the program and with the staff at the program. She's met 4 out of 4, so she's currently working. So they're continuing ST01, and they're moving on to, and have started ST02. And I'm not sure what the difference is, but they've graduated here. Micah went to the dentist and she had her annual checkup. Those are 2 things that are required to stay in the program. She went a few months ago, and I don't have my paperwork to them. I'll go in with my notes, and I'll go in, and I went to both places saying, okay, I need to get a copy of this to give to Micah's program, and then I don't get it, and then the program contacts me. And so it came up again today, and I'm like, no, I didn't get that done. So, they were supposed to give me a signed release, a paper, a signed release. Maybe they're going to send it home with Mike. All I have to do is sign the release. They can call and get their own records. So I'm real happy about that. Anything that I don't have to do that somebody else can do makes me really happy. Like, I didn't write this note down. I had Regina write down everything that we needed to talk about. Okay, risk factors. It's something new that they're doing in this 6-month visit. I guess there is a big giant list of risk factors that you can choose from. So for Micah, we already had choking and seizures in her program, so we're continuing on with those. We talked about cutting Micah's food into pieces. They have directions to cut everything into bite-sized pieces. I made a comment that, all of Micah's food is supposed to come ready to eat when she gets here, but if it's not, I'm assuming that you know how to appropriately fix Micah's food so that she doesn't choke. What I didn't know, they have been cutting sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, into bite-sized pieces, and Micah is eating them with her hands. That sounds like a really big mess. So they did not know, because that was in their original program. Micah eats her sandwiches in quarters, so you just cut it into 4 pieces, and she picks it up and eats it like that. They asked me about bananas. When we send bananas, because they turn brown, we just send a whole banana. Bridget asked me, well, how do you give Micah a banana? We cut it into 3 pieces and cut each piece in half, so that makes 6 pieces for a banana, and Micah can pick up each piece and eat it with her hand. Well, they cut them all into tiny pieces, and I guess Micah eats those with her hand as well. So they learned a little bit about they don't have to work quite so hard to get Micah to eat. Micah's had a few choking episodes at the program. We had that at the last program. I would say 1 to 2 times a year at home we have to get Micah out of her chair because she's choking. We either have to do the Heimlich maneuver, or we think we're going to, and we have to get her out of her chair to get out whatever it is that she's choking on. We've had a few episodes at the program where she's doing this, so we talked about it again today. If Micah gets really, really excited, she'll eat really fast, she'll drink really fast. That will make her choke because she's not chewing her food well. Bridget said sometimes when she is in the room, in the lunchroom, and Micah's eating, Micah will just stare. She'll turn her head well and she'll just stare. Just look at Bridget. It's so funny, and she won't eat. And the staff will have to say, okay, Micah, Bridget's not going anywhere. Just eat your food. And if Bridget walks in the room, that will cause her to get excited. I'm assuming there are sometimes other people that may come in that Micah's excited to see that may get her really excited. and they just have to slow her down. So I asked them, is staff always really watching her? Do they know the triggers that get her excited, or what she does when she gets too excited, so they can maybe remove her food, remove her drink, just get her to relax just a little bit. If she's mad, she'll she'll eat like that, or she'll just pick up her drink. She got this, mean look on her face, and she's just drinking it all, and she'll just make a big old mess. But it looks like most of what's happening at the program is just she's getting really excited. And that is causing her to sometimes choke on her food. So we talked about that. While we were in Indianapolis with Kendall, when he graduated from college recently, a bench came. Micah has a private therapist, Linda Janesco, and she wanted a bench that Micah could sit on the floor, and the purpose is for her core muscles, for her trunk muscles to be able to sit on this bench, and then she'll have her do things like reaching up to these weighted bags and do different things. Micah can actually pick up these weighted bags and move them over, but if she's sitting on a bench, it's a good place for her to sit and strengthen those muscles. We got a bench. Rick, he's been on some other videos. Rick takes care of all Micah's equipment, so he ordered this bench for us, and it came in while we were gone, and it's in a box. So I'm going to contact Rick and tell him we're sending the bench to ILC, and then he can just go to ILC and put it together for her. So I got approval that it's okay to do that. So we talked about that. This was a pretty fast meeting. Okay, I asked them about coffee and drinking soda. I know she's drinking a little coffee and soda there, but I'm not sure how much. And the reason it was important to know, we drink very little soda at our house, but coffee I drink every day. And when Micah comes home, she sees my cup that I started drinking and I didn't finish it, but she sees my cup out. Or she'll go in the kitchen and she knows where coffee is in the coffee pot, and she comes home wanting coffee. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't getting too much coffee. But they said if she's getting pop, it's only on Fridays. Fridays when they eat out. I forgot to send her money today. And I was there before lunch this morning, but I didn't have a dime on me, literally, not even a penny in my purse. Coffee, 1 to 2 times a week, they said, so that's not really a big deal. So she's doing okay with the coffee. I asked them about her walker. I wasn't sure that she was using her walker every single day. It's very important for Micah to get as much physical exercise as possible so that she doesn't lose her mobility, but so that she's strong in her body and she feels good. She also has a little bit of osteoporosis. She is getting a what do they call it? A DEXO scan or DEX scan. It's where we'll lay her down flat, and then they have this machine that just runs through her, sort of like a CAT scan, I think, when an MRI, where you get inside the machine. It's not exactly like that, but it's some kind of a scan, and she has to lay on a table to get that done. So we're going to check on her osteoporosis and see where it is. Last time it was checked, we're a little overdue, but it was just a tiny bit. But the more weight bearing she's doing, the more walking she's doing, the more exercise she's doing, that will help keep the osteoporosis from getting worse. It'll make her strong so she doesn't break her bones. Okay, we talked about the notes. So we have this notebook that we use for Micah every day. We pass it back and forth in her backpack on her wheelchair. But they have this thing inside their system called a T-log, and they're required to type notes in. So a few weeks ago, we decided that they would start printing out the T-logs and sending them home, but it doesn't have on there when she goes to the bathroom, and I think it didn't have the walker on there. But I know for sure it didn't have the bathroom. So they're writing in one and printing out another one. We're not always getting it. It's not always working well. Even before we talked about doing the printout, we weren't always getting a written note every day. So now we're only going to do the T-log, where they put it in the computer and they print it out, and they're going to add the bathroom and maybe the walker if it wasn't already on there. But they'll just do it one time, print it out, and then we don't have these two ways of communicating, which will be so much easier for them. So I'm happy about that. And she said, so Ann asked me, well, don't you have access to that? And I said, no, I think I was supposed to do something like send an email, and I didn't have somebody to do it for me, so I didn't get it done. And she said, well, I'll go in there and set it up. It'll send you a link, and all you have to do is click on it, and you'll be there. And I said, that's perfect. She said, or you can have a CNA do it. So it was kind of funny. I do as little as possible. We talked about sending her jacket home. A lot of times her lunchbox doesn't come home, and she's got a little pink raincoat that she wears. it doesn't come home. And the girls are pretty fussy. When they want that jacket in the morning and it's been left at the program, or they need the lunchbox, they're really fussy about why didn't they send that home. So we talked about that today. We talked about Micah having a pink cup. I sent a pink cup when she first started her program so that we could just keep it there. That's what I did when she was at Vodec before. Micah would just drink out of that glass every day. I always have them give Micah water. I don't send anything else. The purpose of that is just so I can make sure that she's getting some kind of water in a day, that she's hopefully getting enough in a day. I kind of have to keep up with that. I'm kind of loose with keeping up with it, but I try to pay attention to it some. So they said that they would just go buy some Walmart cups. Matter of fact, Micah and Bridget are going today because Ann said, Micah, what if you go shopping with Bridget? I'll just give her the credit card and you can go shopping and buy cups. And so they agreed that they would go do that. And then I said I wanted to go if they were going to be taking a credit card and we just buy it all on Ann, right? The reason we brought up this pink cup, when I dropped Micah off a couple of months ago at the program, she had just been to the dentist and Naya had given her a cup and it was a styrofoam cup, just a little bitty tiny one. So I inquired about the styrofoam cup because in the past, Micah has a history of sometimes biting the styrofoam cup and then there's a chunk out and she's got styrofoam in her mouth, or the styrofoam cup is just so tiny and she grabs a hold of it and it will just crush under her hand. But Naya said they've been doing it for a long time and didn't have any problems with it. So I just inquired about that today and they said they would just go buy some plastic cups and then we wouldn't have to worry about those styrofoam cups being a problem. And here are my notes where I messed up in the beginning. ISP is Individual Support Plan. IPP is Individual Personalized Plan. I guess for a long time it's been in the computer as ISP, but then on all the paperwork that parents get, it's IPP. Now it all matches and it says the same thing. And they've gone from 20 pages down to like 4 to 6 pages as far as notes. They send me this little book after we have the meeting, so now there'll just be a little bit. So those are all the things that we discussed at the program today. So thank you so much for being here. I will look to the hills from whence cometh my help, for my help cometh from the Lord. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.